Welcome back to Capitol Tonight. We want to bring in our panel now to discuss the 2020 Democratic primary and Republican primary too. But further, Hans Klingler, Republican strategist, and Ed Espinoza, Executive Director of Progress Texas. Good to see you both.
Good to be here.
Thanks.
Yeah, busy time right now. I know we're all watching this closely. Ed, I wanted to start with you because your group put out a poll this week. I want to pull those poll results up right now, and just showing Biden and Bernie neck and neck, but also really kind of the Bloomberg factor in all of this. And what can you tell us just about what you found here?
That's right. So we conducted this poll with one question in mind. This is the first time that Bloomberg will be on a ballot. So we wanted to see what his effect was if he were in the race and if he were out of the race. And what you can see by this chart is that he has an immediate effect on Joe Biden.
Yeah. If
Bloomberg were not in the race, Biden would be running away with it in Texas. But because he's here, he's slowing him down. Bernie is tied with Biden and looking very good in markets like Houston and Dallas because Bloomberg is siphoning off those votes from Biden.
Yeah, I mean, from the Republican standpoint and from, if you can look that far into the future, but a possible potential matchup against Trump, and what does that look like for who Trump would really want to go up against? Bernie or Biden?
Oh, I think it's absolutely Bernie. Every day and twice on Sunday. I think the issue here is that, this poll shows something that I think was Bloomberg's strategy all along. How sustainable it is past Texas, I don't know, because in the end, he's not worried about his money drying up. He's got it, and he will continue to move forward. So I think the thing here is that it puts the Democrats in Texas in a conundrum because the presidential race is not necessarily the sole focus. It is taking the majority back for the Texas House. It's also picking up some of these congressional seats that they started in 2018. So I think with Bernie at the top of the ticket, I think that puts the Democrats in Texas in a real conundrum. Like I said, it also shows too, though, that Democrats have spent a lot of money over the course of the last 4 or 5 years in sort of courting the youth vote, and I think it's starting to pay dividends. And I think as a Republican, we need to absolutely be on alert and figure out a counter strategy pretty darn quick.
Yeah, I mean, Ed, we've been talking about this on the show, but just for some of the down ballot candidates, and we've heard from some Texans who are a little concerned about a Bernie at the top of the ticket. What's your response to that, and kind of what you're hearing, what you're seeing, and how you think that could affect Democrats?
Two immediate things come to mind. The first thing to keep in mind is that even though these are statewide numbers, presidential primaries are funny things.
Sure.
And the way that the delegates are allocated is actually on a Senate level, Senate district level, which for our purposes, let's just say a media market level. And in that case, it's not the same as the numbers across the state.
Yeah.
For instance, Bernie and Warren are strongest in Austin. They have double-digit leads ahead of anybody else. They're also both doing very well in San Antonio. Story's a little different in Dallas and Houston. And that's the way the delegates will be allocated. So even though somebody is, Biden is tied with Bernie here, there's still a chance at the delegate level for there to be some separation as to what that looks like. Now, as far as to what that looks like down ballot or what it looks like if Bernie's the nominee, the thing I keep remembering is how people on the progressive side of the aisle were so intent to have Trump as their opponent in 2016. And then Trump just mobilized that base. We never thought anybody could get elected who said the things he said and did the things he did, and yet here we are. So we'll see how that works out with Bernie.
Right. No, and I think Ed raises a really good point. I mean, I really do think that, and I've said this for a year now, I think that the Democrats are having sort of their Tea Party moment in the sense that you are having a schism or a purity test between one wing of the party versus the other. Trump came in 2016 and completely upside down the apple cart, and all of us were sort of left saying, okay, is this guy for real? Is this going to work? How's it going to work? And I think in the end, what is happening now is that Trump has figured out a way to not only communicate with his base and rile them up. I also think that he is got about a year head start in organizing, especially in states like Texas. But I still think that we Republicans still need to be absolutely on their game and not take anything for granted. I think Ed raises a great point. Bernie has a real appeal, especially in areas like this. So.
Yeah, I mean, Ed, I will ask you because, we talked about at the top of the show, just all of these candidates coming here over the next couple of days. Will it make a difference? I mean, will these last-minute campaign efforts, which they're doing in all the states of the last minute, but make a difference?
The thing you have to keep in mind in a presidential primary is the 15%. If you don't have that 15% threshold, you're not going to get a single delegate. So if you're somebody like Elizabeth Warren who's at 14% in one market and has a ground game here that she's had here for 3 months, your odds of beating that number are pretty good. If you're somebody like Buttigieg who's around 10% and doesn't have an organization, Klobuchar who's at about roughly 4%, it's a lot harder. You might do better off going either to another state or to a target market where you think you can move the needle a little bit. So the short answer to your question is it depends.
Yeah. Well, we'll leave it there. A lot depending, a lot riding on Tuesday. We'll see what happens after that.
All right.
Guys, thank you very much.
Thanks.